Hello everyone, in today's video we are going to be trying to drive the RX-7. However, there are a few things need to do before trying to drive it. I made a little list here of, this is it's pretty messy, but I made a little list right here, post startup, of things I need to do as a minimum viable product for the RX-7 to run or to drive. So first we need to do, well, we should install the radiator fan, and then I need to see if I can bleed the coolant. This will be the biggest indicator, or the second indicator, to see if this engine is actually healthy or not. Sounds like we have compression. I mean, the car ran the last episode, so that's good. But the second part of like a healthy engine is if the coolant seals are good. So we're gonna hopefully see if that bleeds. We'll see. But if that bleeds, then I'm going to need to replace the clutch slave cylinder and the clutch master cylinder, because the pedal it goes straight to the floor. There's no pressure left in it. And then I also need to address the brakes, and I've not actually looked at the condition of the brake pad or the rotors. But if there's like a lot of like meat left on the pad, I'll honestly probably just re-bleed the brakes, because the pedal works just not very well, unlike the clutch pedal. And then, hopefully if all that goes according to plan, go on a drive. But I guess, the first thing I'm going to do is install this clutch fan. All right, it is time to try and bleed the system. I got my funnel here, it's sealed. And on forums it said to barely crack this until it leaks a little bit, and I saw it drip a little bit. It's supposed to help air get through, maybe. I'm gonna try this. And I did actually buy like a little infrared like heat gun, or not heat gun, temperature thing. I bought this just in case my coolant temp sensor doesn't work, so I can like monitor the temps. It should not go above like 180, 200 at the max, but if I see it go higher, I'll like shut it off. But so this time, all right, let's see if it'll start. Rip. All right, let's try that again. Yeah. So it doesn't want to idle, but I do remember that I had a few things I wanted to try before starting this again, I guess. And I was missing a screw right here, and I think the screw did play a part in the vacuum system, because I think this went straight through the intake. So I put a screw there, hoping that fixed it. We'll see. So I did go and buy a timing light that I'm going to use to check the timing on this. Maybe that could be why it's idling bad. And also with me checking the timing, I will be checking each coil, and this might help me determine why my tach isn't working, because the tach signal is fed from these two coils right here. So I'm hoping that maybe that can help me determine if it's or like why the tach isn't working. However, before I do that, I'm gonna take a little break from like starting it a lot, because starting it a lot with the exhaust pointing at the end of the garage, a lot of fumes. So to fix that, or help fix that, I want to get it drivable. So I have bought a clutch slave cylinder and a clutch master cylinder, and I'm going to be replacing these first. And yeah, I'm excited to replace this. But once I do that, then this will be like drivable. So then I want to move it around, so the exhaust is pointing out there. So I'm gonna do that now. And I really like this sticker. Honestly, I kind of want to put it on the RX7. Might be a little ricey, but considering this isn't performance parts. But I have heard that Exity, this brand is like the best for like aftermarket slave cylinders. And I wish I put that in on the Miata, because I know that it's gonna fail someday and it's not gonna be fun, because I bought some like cheap AutoZone. You know, these are cheap as well, but this brand is apparently good. It's good quality. This has got to be the original one. Maybe? I don't know. You can just see how cooked the old one was, or is, compared to the new one. And it looks like everything is the same. So yeah, gonna install this now. Hopefully it goes well. Alright, this is my slave cylinder. I got it out. Wasn't as bad as Miata, honestly. However, this thing was like omega cooked. Like you could see that the boot was there at one point, while the new one has a boot, obviously. This thing was so cooked that it even had this little like push rod or push pin. So, like, even like say if I would have like, you know, just tried like bleeding the clutch, I don't think this would have even been functional at all. I think maybe, I don't know. But that's it for tonight. I'm gonna go get some Wingstop. But tomorrow I'll come back and install that, and then bleed the slave cylinder, and we'll bleed the clutch. display cylinder is now installed. Now it is time to fill this up and then bleed the system. Alright, so I've now bled the clutch system thanks to my girlfriend. And dude, now it's time to see if this thing moves. Brake pedal works okay. That's my biggest concern, honestly, is the brake pedal, because, you know, on a slope. But yeah, now it is time to see if this thing moves. I really just want to turn this around because I don't like having the exhaust pointed towards the back of the garage, you know, really just inhaling that rotary exhaust. So yeah, honestly, I think my plan is to just get it out there, flip it around, and yeah, I think I have some coolant in here. I put some coolant in here, so hopefully it doesn't overheat. I still have not determined if it does or not, but I will keep the heat gun on me and the fire extinguisher. Alright, I'm back. Went on a test drive and noticed a little bit of transmission noise, which honestly has been concerned, will not lie. And I never even checked if this even has any transmission fluid in. So today I'm going to be lifting this up and putting in some gear oil. Apparently this is the good stuff. It's pretty expensive, but you know, I'm really hoping that maybe it was low and that the noise was just low fluid, and hopefully adding fluid will fix that noise. Not sure. So finally, I've drained it. God, this smells so bad. Ugh. So at least it wasn't bone dry, I guess. And this was the drain bolt. There was honestly a lot of shavings on it. Honestly, it's kind of what I was expecting, so maybe not anything too out of the ordinary. I look crazy. So I guess, at least it wasn't bone dry, because that probably would have made me feel really bad. So I'll take it, I guess. So now I'm going to try and fill it up. Yeah. All right, quick assessment. I mean, I guess it looks sparkly. Kind of just looks like gear oil, I guess. I don't see any chunks. At least, I don't think I see any chunks. Yeah, I don't think I see any chunks. It's not a lot, though. That's for sure. Dude, it smells so bad. Okay, now I'm gonna pump. I have this thing that's gonna need pump 2.5 quarts, which is a lot. So it's gonna suck, but yeah. All right, I'm now back in the car. Filled up the transmission fluid, and I made a very jank setup to get this bezel on. I really want the headlights down, and I need to plug it in. I'm also curious if the gauge cluster lights work as well. So that's something we're gonna figure out. But also going to start it right now, and hopefully there's no noise coming from the transmission, and if so, well, need a new transmission, and I'm also out $80 on the gear oil I just bought. So yeah, let's see. Well, the lights are on, and gauge cluster is not on, so cool. Dude, maybe my gauge cluster is just broken. Oh, lights are coming on. Okay, let's see. Eels, dude, eels. So the sound is still there. Well, I think the transmission is shot. I could try and drive around with it. I don't know, maybe it'll just be a noise. I'm not sure. And the idle's still not fixed. But at least the pop-ups are down. So in this clip, I did not explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. So my instrument cluster mostly does not work. I think the oil pressure gauge kind of worked, but the fuel gauge didn't work, the tach gauge didn't work. I'm not sure if the coolant gauge worked since I never had it running long enough to really tell. The battery gauge didn't work. So I didn't really know what to do. I did know that my screws were super rusty on this instrument cluster. So I literally just removed each screw individually and sanded the screw and the contact on the motherboard to hopefully, improve contact, improve the connection between the screw and the motherboard. So that's literally what I did. It took me like 6 hours, maybe 7 hours. Took a long time. the next morning. And I did, you saw some footage of me cleaning up some screws, but I basically applied that method to every single screw on this motherboard. Like 25 screws, except for like these, but you know, everyone that has a connector, so literally all the screws here. The top of the screws itself are still rusty, I don't care about that, but the bottom should now have proper contact between the motherboard and the screw. So really hoping that this works. So now I'm going to plug it in and see if the attack gauge works, see if honestly, if maybe I did more harm than good. We'll see though. All right, the instrument cluster is now plugged in. Battery's plugged in. Car's in neutral. So let's see if. So I know the shift up light illuminates when the car is on status. So let's see if we get that still. Sometimes it does. You know, maybe this is just a fluke. Maybe, hopefully. All right, let's see. Oh, it works! It works! And the battery bolts. Oh my God, let's go! Let's go, and it's idling? Oh, let's go! Let's go! That's okay. Alright, this thing is struggling to stay alive, so let's go. Let's go. Cool. Love that works now. Let's go. Okay, so with that working, now I do need to diagnose why this thing's running so rough. Running lean, I believe. So my next step is I could either get some brake cleaner or propane tank to track down an intake leak, like an intake manifold leak, because that's what I think it could potentially be. You know, there's so many hoses in here that I think it might be like a broken hose or something. All right, it is a couple days later, and now it is time to look for this vacuum leak. So I have this propane tank here with a hose, and the idea is that I'm gonna, be pointing this hose with this propane on just anywhere in the vacuum system, because this could be gaskets, it could be intake hoses, literally anywhere. But also at the same time, I am going to be attempting to bleed the coolant. I think after some research, I believe the proper bleeding spot is right here at the thermostat housing. It's also the highest point, which I know that's where air bubbles go to the highest point. So I'm gonna try that. Little nervous about this because I know the engine shakes when it misfires, so I don't want this spilling all over, which would honestly suck. But I gotta do it, and I'm kind of nervous about this. I am planning on having this run for a few minutes at least. But if I do find an intake leak, the engine will either idle normally. I'm pretty sure it'll idle normally, or it'll stall out. So we'll see. honestly, I was so focused on it, like the coolant, that I did not pay much attention to the propane. However, I did hear a big like hissing coming from this area, so I definitely think the intake leak is somewhere in this area. Very well could be this jank hose I put on. Very well could be that hose. But this is up to temp, and the temp gauge was working. It did overfill on coolant, which was kind of interesting. I don't know how that happened, but honestly, I think I'm going to let this like bleed for like 10-15 minutes maybe, and then remove that and then put the radiator cap back on. And honestly, I think I'm gonna go for a test drive. Really want to, if it holds temp at idle, which it barely even idles, but I kind of want to. I'm curious. Before I go on the drive, I really wanted to like wash this before cleaning really anything, but the windshield is super dirty, so I'm probably gonna give it a quick little rinse to clean it with this. That happens sometimes. Let's go. All right, we're on the road. A little bit of a rocky start. It's okay. We're moving. A little bit of a rocky start, I won't lie. A little bit of a rocky start. Okay, I'm gonna take a Larry. And I'm gonna try and get up to the second gear. Whoa, it's moving! It's moving, Emily! Alright, I'm taking a left here. Dang! Look at that.
Never been over here.
I know, right? My speedometer works. Alright, one more lap and then we're calling. It's holding temp, which is good. Dang! And it's, I'm not, no foot on the gas? Alright, y'all. Now the next day from the test drive. Test drive went great. However, I really want to fix the idle. So I have put the propane method on hold for now. And I got myself a smoke machine. So it's pretty cool. It put some baby oil in here. And you can't really see it. I guess you can see some. But the plan now is to put this in this intake hose, and then the idea is that any vacuum leaks the smoke will come out of the leak. You are supposed to cover the other side of the intake, which I attempted to with this plastic bag. I doubt this will actually be a perfect seal. But you know, I'm gonna try this, and if not, maybe I'll remove the box or something. and then block it off properly. We'll see though. I'm gonna try that first. And I'm gonna try this, and then hopefully, I'll see the leak. It's hard to see, but I don't know if the camera's picking up, but it does appear that smoke is escaping from that little plate. It's called the Sub-Zero start plate. It's definitely leaking from there. So it's definitely leaking from there. So earlier today I went to the Mazda dealership to see if that gasket was in stock. Well, it's available. So I bought it. It'll be here tomorrow. And then I will install that. Hopefully that's it. Honestly, I think I'm probably just gonna install that tomorrow, and then try and start it. Well, remove the bag, obviously, which that's the bag. I'm gonna do that, and then maybe it'll idle. All right, it's the next day, and I have received my gasket for this Sub-Zero start device. Here's the part number. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace this now, and then put together the intake manifold back on. The intake box right here, and then gonna install it. Then honestly, gonna see if it idles, and if it does, might go on a larger trip, like a longer drive. Might go on a longer drive. Which I would then plug back in my headlight bezel, or these things, mostly just for the turn signal, because I would like to make a trip to the gas station. It's about like 3 minutes away, but I think it'd be a nice, good, like longer drive. But I'd obviously do a few rounds around my neighborhood to see if it still keeps temp and whatnot. All right, the gasket is now replaced. I installed the airbox, plugged the battery in, connected back the vacuum hose I use for diagnosis, and now I'm going to start it up. And honestly, if it runs without the gas, having to keep it alive, I think I'm gonna go on a test drive. But I did remember from the last clip that I do need a battery tie down. So before I start driving, I do need to go ahead and get a battery tie down. I can get one from like AutoZone. So yeah, let's see if it starts. Okay, let's see if it starts and hold idle. I'm nervous. Got my hatch light on. Don't know why it's on. Oh well. That's normal. Let's see though. Let's see if it kicks down. When it kicks down, let's see if it can actually hold idle. Butter, man. It's smooth. Oh, that's so hype. That's so hype. Dude, that thing is idling mid. That is smooth. Oh man. Oh, dude, I'm so hyped. I'm so hyped. Alright, I'm gonna let this idle for like 1 more minute, and then I'm gonna turn it off because you're not supposed to turn off rotaries on and off quickly when it's cold. Dude, let's go. That is so hype. That is seriously so hype. The hatch light went away, don't know how. Let's see if the coolant buzzer is still on. Yep. Coolant buzzer is still on. Fun. Transmission's making noise, love that. But it's idling smooth, so I'll take it. It's on gas. I really want to take it to the gas station. Yeah, man, let's go. It's a smooth idle. leaks. Here. Leaks over there. Little fuel leaks. Lines here. Okay. Yeah, dude. Oh, what's up? I might have spoken too soon. I don't know why it's idling like that. Interesting. Interesting. I don't know why it's doing that. Alright, I'm just gonna turn it off for now. But it's idling, that's all that matters. So I did encounter a very tiny fuel leak. So in this side of the engine bay, there are few fuel lines that were definitely replaced at some point, not OEM. And I've replaced most of the fuel hoses in this car. Like on that side over there, I replaced all of them. And then also in the back, I replaced all of them. However, I have not replaced these. And I don't know if you can see, but this bottom one, there's some fluid, and that's definitely fuel. I don't know if that was just poorly installed, so I might try and remove it. It's pretty brittle, pretty rock hard. I might try and remove it, see if I can like push it out, make it more snug, I guess. And you can tell the one up here is also leaking. The one on the left, probably can't really see it, but the one on the left is leaking, one on the right's not leaking, so that's good. So I need to address that. Yeah. It's now nighttime, shocker. And I have replaced the one hose there and also one down there. The other two, the one on the right and the one going to the firewall area, is knocking on heaven's door. So I think I know what went wrong with those hoses, because they seemed kind of new, but it seemed like the person before, whoever replaced it with these like serrated, these are just like basically multi-use like hose connectors, not rated for fuel injection. The ones for fuel injection are actually, the ones for fuel injection is actually these clamps, and the difference is that well, they look different, right? But these are not serrated on the inside, if you can see that. Well, these are, and I'm pretty sure what happened is that, you know, it serrated and then cut the hose, maybe just a small leak. But I replaced those two hoses. I will replace those other two someday, but I want to really drive this. Unfortunately, it's not looking like it's gonna happen tonight, but I did replace those, so hopefully it doesn't leak. I spilled so much gas on the ground, dude, like actually. But next up is I got a tie down. Need to install a tie down, and then honestly, like I think some of that reverse grinding is from the clutch maybe not being bled all the maybe still some air in the clutch pedal. But I mean, honestly, I think I'm just going to install the battery tie down. That should be good for a ride. I guess I do still have to plug in the turn signals and whatnot, But yeah, super excited for that. All right, y'all, it's a new day. I got a GoPro headband, so I'm gonna use this for my test drive today. I have installed the tie down. I'm not sure how the angle's looking. I hope it's looking okay. But I got a tie down installed. I put some more brake fluid in, even though I don't really think it was low. Put tire pressure in, or put some tire, or air in the tires. That's the word. But anyways, now is the time to see if I can go on a test drive with this. I did replace the fuel lines. I got my very jank setup, low key, but it'll have to do because the dash is not installed. So let's see. Oh. All right, starts up. Let's see if the turn signals work. Idles nicely. Okay, looks like the left turn signal is not working. Looks good. Let's see if there's any leaks. No leak from the fuel area. See over there. No leak from there. And the injectors. Okay, I think it looks good. I think we have oil. I checked a few days ago and there was oil, so. All right. Okay, it's closed. Let's go on the test drive. Digital thermometer here, 85 degrees. Now, I'm not sure how far I'll go right now. But okay, now it idles back up to 1700, which is weird. Come on. Okay. Oh, looks like that's it for now. Roll down. Okay. I heard that if I put the clutch in for 3 seconds, it'll make it apparently not grind. So we'll see. Okay. Did not grind. So I'll take that. up the temp. Oil pressure gauge went out. Battery gauge went out. I think we send it though, hopefully. Hopefully not famous last words. Right. Okay. Forget my left turn signal doesn't even work. So that's great. Third gear works. It's cool. Brakes are questionable. But okay, I made it. Let's get my premix. It's crazy that I remember when I installed this, I was like, here are my premix bins, and here we are a few months later. Alright, I filled it up. However, people are getting arrested right near me. So, I think I might be stuck at the gas station. I don't know. Okay, I guess it's time to get going, I guess. Alright, my car does not want to idle now after getting gas. I think fuel gauge is reading empty, oil pressure is reading empty, battery gauge isn't working. I think the temp sensor is working at least, I guess. Light won't turn green, it turned green. So let's see now. Okay, my left turn signal works now. The right turn signal works. I don't know. Maybe I do have a loose ground or something. Alright, dude, I think I should end it on a red note, or a red line. Red line a day keeps the rebuild away, knock on wood. Alright, that's a red line. Well, almost. I got the 6800, which I'll take, honestly. Okay, it made it. It made it. That was... It made it, okay. It made it, let's go. Not working, of course. Temp gauge is working, that's all that matters. All right, I think that's gonna be it for this video. You know, I was super happy that I drove it on the street finally. It was idling pretty nice. However, I just got gas. Now it doesn't seem to want to stay alive. I don't know, maybe my first thought is like premix clogging up the fuel pump, like sock or something. I don't know. I didn't even put that much premix in though, so I don't know why. Also, the fuel gauge doesn't work anymore. I definitely think I have like an electrical ground issue or something somewhere. But that's it for this video. Made it. I survived the first drive with the RX-7. It was crazy, the gas station fiasco. Not sure what happened there, but thanks for watching so much. Really appreciate it. Stay tuned for the next video. Actually, yeah, I was gonna say I don't really have much on this. Kind of crazy, actually. Well, actually, no, I do. I do have some. So, I have installed the radiator fan. I bled the coolant, did the slave cylinder, master cylinder, bled brakes, and then went on drive. Crazy. Let's go. Yeah, so that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. I think in the next video I have a few things I need to do. I ordered a shifter rebuild kit, so gonna be doing that. I have a bunch of other stuff I need to do. There's so many tiny things that are adding up that I'm not really sure. I can't think off the top of my head. It's kind of hot right now. But I will be most likely rebuilding the shifter in the next video. And yeah, so thanks so much for watching. And please subscribe if you want to see more. Once again, thanks.